before we dive in, take a breath. This isn't just another self-help message. What you're about to hear is a series of timeless truths, simple, powerful, and rooted in Stoic philosophy. This wisdom has stood for over 2,000 years, but here it's been distilled into something more than ancient thought. It's been lived. It's tested. Proven. This is Stoicism not as theory, but as a lifestyle brought to life in the everyday choices, struggles, and moments we all face. So, if you're ready to let go of the noise, the pressure, and the need to control it all, and if you're open to a deeper kind of clarity, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Part 1. Detach from the outcome. The hidden power of letting go. Have you ever chased something so hard only to watch it slip through your fingers? You pour your heart into a dream. You give everything, your time, your energy, your whole identity, and still, somehow, the thing you want most seems to run further away. And in that moment, frustration grows. Doubt creeps in. You wonder, what am I doing wrong? But what if I told you that the very act of chasing might be what's pushing your dreams away? Imagine this, a magnet. When you press two like poles together, what happens? The more you push, the more it repels. Now flip the magnet, let go of resistance, suddenly attraction happens naturally, effortlessly. Life often works the same way. The moment you stop clinging, stop forcing, something shifts. A quiet current begins to move. That's the power of detachment. You see, we live in a world obsessed with outcomes. We're taught to measure success by results. Did you land the job? Hit the number? Get the recognition? If not, we label it as failure. But that mindset traps us in anxiety. It keeps us focused on the end, not the moment we're in. Here's the truth. The more you obsess over results, the more resistance you build. Every time you fixate on when or how, you lose connection with the now. And the now is where all your power lives. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you release the grip of expectation. You stop demanding life unfold on your timeline. Instead, you begin to trust the process. You pour your energy into what you can control. Your actions, your effort, your integrity, and you let life handle the rest. This idea isn't new. The Stoics spoke about it centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens, happens as it should, and you will be happy. Let that sink in." You are not here to micromanage the universe. You are here to show up, to give your best, and to accept what comes with grace. I once knew someone, we'll call her Lily, who worked relentlessly toward a very specific career goal. She'd wake early, stay late, obsess over every detail, hoping that if she just worked a little harder, success would finally appear. But it didn't. The more she pushed, the more stuck she felt. Until one day a mentor told her, "You're doing all the right things, but you're trying to control the timing. Let go. Show up fully. Let the rest unfold." That simple shift changed her life. She stopped waking up with dread. She stopped measuring each day by what she hadn't achieved. Instead, she began showing up with presence and peace. Over time, without forcing, doors opened, opportunities found her, and success followed. Not because she stopped working, but because she stopped clinging. So how do you detach from the outcome in your own life? Start with this. Focus on your input. Ask yourself daily, did I give my best with what I had? That's your responsibility. The results? They belong to life. Second, let go of perfection. The need for things to happen exactly the way you imagined only creates suffering. Trust that what's unfolding, even if it looks different than you planned, might be exactly what you need. And third, anchor yourself in the present. When your mind runs off into the future, gently bring it back. Remind yourself, I am here, I am doing what I can, and that is enough. Because in the end, detachment isn't about apathy, it's about freedom. It's about reclaiming your peace, your power, your presence. And the beautiful irony is, when you finally stop chasing outcomes, the very things you desired begin to move toward you. This is where growth lives, this is where peace begins, and this is where your true power is found, not in controlling the future, but in showing up fully today. Part 2. Master your mindset, because your thoughts build your reality. Let me ask you something most people never think about. What's the voice in your head really saying to you? You know the one I mean. The voice that says you're not enough, that you're too late, that others have figured it out and you're still trying to catch up. That voice, if left unchecked, doesn't just make you feel anxious. It builds your world, quietly, invisibly, thought by thought. See, your mind is the filter through which you experience life. And if that filter is clouded by fear, by stress, by self-doubt, then no matter what happens on the outside, you will never feel peace on the inside. This is why your mindset isn't just important, it's everything. Because life doesn't happen to you, life responds to you. And it responds to the way you think. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Not your circumstances, not your salary, not your relationship status, but your thoughts. Let that settle in for a second. Because most people spend their lives trying to fix the outside, changing jobs, chasing achievements, blaming others, without realizing the real transformation starts within. I once knew someone, we'll call her Rachel, who lived in a state of constant overwhelm. Her schedule was packed, her phone never stopped buzzing, and her mind? Always racing. She'd wake up already stressed and fall asleep still thinking about tomorrow. For years, she believed stress was just part of life, that it meant she was doing something meaningful. But one day, she broke down not from failure, but from exhaustion. And in that silence, she made a radical decision, not to quit everything, but to change the way she thought about everything. She started small, 5 minutes of silence each morning, then journaling the thoughts that came up, especially the negative ones. I'm behind. I'll never catch up. What if I fail? She looked at those thoughts not as truth, but as patterns, habits, old scripts, and day by day she rewrote them. Instead of, "This is too much," she tried, "This is mine to handle." Instead of, "What if it all falls apart?" she asked, "What if this leads me somewhere better?" She trained her thoughts like an athlete trains their body, with patience, with repetition, and with purpose. And the results? Her life didn't magically get easier overnight, but she got stronger, calmer, clearer, and slowly, her external world began to reflect her new internal state. Because that's what happens when you master your mindset. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from clarity. You stop spinning in circles and begin walking with direction. So how do you begin to take back your mind? Start with awareness. Notice what your inner voice is telling you, especially in the quiet moments or the hard ones. Are you encouraging yourself? Or are you tearing yourself down? Next, challenge that voice. Your thoughts are not facts. You don't have to believe everything you think. Just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it deserves a seat at your table. And most importantly, bring yourself back to the present, the only moment you have power over. The past is memory, the future is possibility, but the present? That's where change happens. That's where peace lives. When your thoughts are steady, your life becomes steady. When your mind is focused, your path becomes clear. And when you choose your thoughts with intention, just like a Stoic, you become unshakable. Because in the end, your mindset doesn't just influence your reality, it creates it. So protect your thoughts, feed them wisely, and remember, the strongest foundation you will ever build in this life is the one inside your mind. Part 3. Trust in divine timing. Stop rushing what's already on its way. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right and yet nothing seems to be moving? You're showing up, you're working hard, You're putting your heart into your goals, but still things aren't happening the way you thought they would, or at the pace you expected. And the frustration starts to build. The doubt starts to whisper. You look around, see others succeeding, and wonder, what am I missing? But what if the truth isn't that you're failing, but that life is simply asking you to wait? See, we live in a world that worships speed, fast food, fast results, fast success. We're told that if we don't see progress immediately, something must be wrong. But that's not how the deepest transformations work. That's not how the universe unfolds, and that's certainly not how you grow. Some things take time, and not just any time, the right time. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly. Let that sink in. Nothing truly meaningful is rushed. Not wisdom, not love, not healing, not mastery. Because these things are not events, they're processes. And processes need time to mature." Think of nature. You don't dig up the seed to check if it's growing. You water it. You trust the soil. You allow the seasons to do their work. And eventually, one quiet morning, something green breaks through the surface. Life always finds a way when the time is right. I knew someone once, we'll call her Sophie, who was desperate to make her business succeed. She gave it everything. Woke up at 5 a.m., worked late into the night, networked, posted, pitched. But the more she forced it, the more the results seemed to slip away. Doors stayed shut, clients backed out. And no matter how much effort she gave, it just wasn't working. Until one day, she broke, not in anger, but in surrender. She realized she was trying to force a flower to bloom before it was ready. So she let go, not of the dream, but of the urgency. She focused on building her skills, enjoying the process, and trusting the timeline. And something amazing happened. The very opportunities she used to chase started finding her, not because she gave up, but because she aligned. That's what trusting divine timing really means. It's not about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about showing up with your best while letting go of the pressure to control the rest. So how do you trust in the timing of life? Start by letting go of the idea that you're behind. You're not. You're exactly where you're supposed to be for the lesson you're meant to learn right now. The delay isn't denial. It's preparation. It's alignment. It's unseen forces arranging things for your growth, not your ego. Second, shift your focus from outcomes to development. Instead of obsessing over when will it happen, ask yourself, who am I becoming as I wait? Because the waiting isn't wasted time, it's training time. It's the sculpting of your patience, your character, your depth. And finally, embrace stillness. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the wisdom of your own soul. When everything seems quiet on the outside, that's often when the most important work is happening on the inside. So breathe, soften, trust. Trust that what's meant for you is already on its way. Trust that every delay has a reason. Trust that the version of you who will receive what you desire is still becoming. And when it arrives, when it finally unfolds, it will make perfect sense why it took the time that it did. Because divine timing is never late. It's always right on time. Part 4. Act with purpose, not desperation, because the energy behind your actions always shows. Let's talk about something subtle. Something people can feel from you before you even say a word. It's not in what you do, it's in why you do it. Are you acting from purpose or from desperation? Most people never stop to ask this. They're too busy running, pushing, forcing things to happen, thinking the faster they move, the more likely they'll succeed. But what they don't realize is that the energy behind your actions is just as important, if not more important, than the actions themselves. Purpose is calm. Desperation is frantic. Purpose knows what it's doing and why. Desperation is just afraid of being left behind. And when your actions come from desperation, people can feel it. Whether it's a job interview, a relationship, a business pitch, there's something in the energy that says, I need this to work, or I'm not okay. That energy pushes people away. It closes doors. It creates friction. But when your actions come from purpose, steady, intentional, grounded, something shifts. People listen. They respect it. And more importantly, you feel aligned. I once knew someone, we'll call him Jack, who was trying to reinvent his career. He was emailing everyone he knew, applying to every opening, pitching himself constantly, but deep down, it wasn't coming from confidence. It was coming from fear. And it showed. People didn't respond well. He felt invisible, exhausted, and confused. Until one day he asked himself the question, what am I chasing, and why am I running so hard? That question changed everything. He slowed down. He got clear on what kind of work truly lit him up, not just what paid well or looked impressive. He started acting from alignment, not anxiety. He reached out to fewer people, but with more clarity, more authenticity, more value. And you know what happened? Doors began to open. Opportunities felt natural. He wasn't just chasing anymore. He was magnetizing. Because when you act from desperation, you drain your energy. But when you act from purpose, you amplify it. So how do you shift? First, pause and reconnect with your why. Ask yourself, if no one were watching, if no one could judge me, what would I still feel called to do? That's your purpose speaking. Second, slow your pace. You don't need to do everything all at once. You just need to take one aligned step at a time. Rushing leads to burnout, but consistency, driven by purpose, builds results that last. And finally, cultivate inner peace before you take action. Don't make moves from panic. Make them from clarity. If your mind is storming with fear, sit with it. Breathe. Wait. Then act. This is where Stoic wisdom cuts through again. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Don't just do things. Be the person first. Define who you want to become, and let your actions rise from that foundation. Because when your actions are grounded in who you truly are, that's when momentum builds. That's when people feel your authenticity. That's when success starts chasing you. Desperation repels. But purpose? Purpose attracts. It speaks in silence. It moves with grace. It walks into rooms with steady eyes and needs no approval. At the end of the day, acting with purpose is not about getting ahead. It's about moving forward in integrity. It's not about chasing everything. It's about choosing what matters and trusting the rest will follow. So slow down, align your steps, and remember, you don't need to sprint to arrive. You just need to keep walking in the direction that speaks to your soul. That's how you win, calmly, steadily, powerfully. Part 5. Let go of control. Find peace in what you can't force. Let's talk about control, one of the most exhausting illusions we all hold on to. We think that if we plan every detail, predict every outcome, control every variable, somehow everything will go our way. We believe that if we just try hard enough, we can bend life to our will. But here's the truth, brutal, honest, liberating truth. You are not in control of most things, and you never were. You can't control what others think. You can't control what the market does. You can't control who stays, who leaves, who changes, or who doesn't. You can't even control tomorrow's weather. So what can you control? You, your choices, your responses, your thoughts. And that's where your real power lives, not in dominating the world around you, but in mastering the world within you. The Stoics knew this deeply. Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's strength. Because the moment you stop wasting your energy on what you can't change, you finally have the clarity and capacity to focus on what you can. I once knew someone, we'll call her Anna, who used to worry about everything. How people saw her, whether she was doing enough, whether she'd ever find the peace she was chasing. She was constantly exhausted, not because life was hard, but because she was trying to control every single piece of it. And when something went off script, she'd spiral. But one day, after a long talk with someone she trusted, she heard a question that cracked something open. What if peace isn't found in having everything under control, but in letting go of the need to? So she tried, slowly. She stopped over-planning every hour. She stopped micromanaging every conversation. She started focusing on what was in front of her breath, her attitude, her next small action. And something shifted. Her life didn't magically get easier, but her experience of it did. She became more open, more relaxed, more joyful. And the beautiful part? The more life flowed back to her. Because when you loosen your grip on life, life loosens its grip on you. Letting go of control doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop caring what was never yours to hold in the first place. It means you stop believing that your safety comes from certainty and start believing it comes from your inner strength, your resilience, your ability to adapt no matter what. So, how do you start letting go? Begin with awareness. Notice where you're gripping the hardest. Is it in relationships, work, the future? Ask yourself, what am I trying to control that's already out of my hands? Then breathe. Loosen the grip, even just a little. Second, redirect your focus. Pour your energy into your thoughts, your routines, your mindset. That's where transformation happens. That's where you build peace, not just wish for it. And finally, embrace uncertainty, not as your enemy, but as your companion. Life is unpredictable, but that's also what makes it beautiful. You don't need to know everything to take the next step. You just need to trust that whatever comes, you'll handle it. Because that's what letting go really gives you. Freedom. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom from perfectionism. Freedom from trying to micromanage a world that was never meant to be tamed. Letting go isn't weakness. It's strength in its purest form. It's faith, not in some magical outcome, but in yourself, in your ability to rise, to respond, to keep walking even when the road twists. So let go. Release the weight. Breathe deeper. Walk lighter. You're not losing control. You're gaining peace. Part 6. Embody the energy of abundance. Act like it's already yours. Most people move through life in quiet scarcity. They wake up already feeling behind. They think about what they don't have, what's missing, what still hasn't shown up. They believe they'll feel fulfilled once they get the money, the partner, the house, the status. But here's the truth. Abundance doesn't wait for you at the finish line. It begins the moment you decide to live as if you already have enough. You see, the universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to alignment. And alignment begins in your mindset, not in your circumstances. If you walk around with thoughts of lack, your life reflects that lack back to you. But when you start embodying abundance, even before anything changes externally, everything changes internally. And that's where real transformation begins. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." That one line reveals everything. True abundance isn't about collecting more, it's about needing less. It's about realizing that the more grounded and present you are, the more wealth you already hold. Because when you stop living from the idea that you're not enough yet, you stop chasing and start attracting. I once knew a man, we'll call him James, who constantly chased success. He thought happiness lived at the next level. He worked endlessly, always striving, always comparing himself to those just a little further ahead. He said things like, "Once I hit that income, I'll feel safe," or "Once I buy that house, I'll finally rest." But the more he got, the more he felt empty. The destination kept moving. The finish line always seemed just out of reach. Then one day, after months of burnout and frustration, he paused, and for the first time, instead of asking, "What's next?" he asked, "What's already here?" He looked around, at his health, his friends, his morning coffee, the chance to build something meaningful. He saw what he'd been ignoring. He started practicing gratitude daily, not performatively, but intentionally. Slowly, something shifted. He stopped walking with heaviness and started walking with ease. And then, without forcing it, the very things he had once chased, clients, connections, opportunities, began showing up. Not because he worked harder, but because he stopped operating from lack. That's the shift. You don't become abundant after the results, you become abundant before, and then the results flow from that energy. So how do you start embodying abundance in your own life? First, practice gratitude, not just for what's flashy or obvious, but for what's quiet, the little things, the ordinary blessings. That's where abundance begins. Second, act as if you already are the person who has what you desire. Not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. Show up like someone who is whole. Speak like someone who values themselves. Walk like someone who knows their worth is not tied to what they achieve. And finally, stop waiting. Stop postponing your peace until a goal is reached. Choose to feel it now. Choose to feel full now. Because the more you lean into the energy of already having, the less life feels like a chase, and the more it becomes a dance. Abundance isn't something that happens to lucky people. It's a frequency you decide to live in. So shift your focus. Reclaim your presence. Walk through life not with your hands clenched in desperation, but with your heart open in trust. You already have so much more than you think. Act like it, speak like it, live like it, and just watch what happens when the world reflects that truth back to you. Part 7. Take aligned action and let go, do your part, then release the rest. There's a moment in every journey when you've done all you can. You've shown up, you've taken the steps, you've stayed consistent, and still the results aren't clear. You start to question everything. Should I push harder? Am I missing something? Is this even working? But here's what no one teaches you. There comes a time when your next act of power is to let go. Most people confuse surrender with laziness. They think that letting go means giving up, that if you stop pushing, life will pass you by. But surrender isn't the absence of effort. It's the absence of attachment. It's when you say, I've done my part, now I trust the process to do its part. This is where the Stoic wisdom shines brightest. Seneca once wrote, "Effort and patience will achieve more than force and anxiety." Read that again. Most of us live in a constant loop of effort followed by anxiety, doing, pushing, and then panicking over results. But what if you replaced that anxiety with patience? What if you kept showing up with clarity and purpose, and then simply allowed the outcome to unfold as it should? I knew a woman, we'll call her Grace, who was building her own business from scratch. She was passionate, consistent, and poured her heart into everything she did. But the results didn't match the energy she gave. She checked her metrics constantly. She doubted herself. She wondered if it was all a waste of time. Until one day, her mentor asked her, "What if your only job is to plant the seeds and trust the season?" That single sentence changed everything. Grace shifted her energy. She kept showing up, but she stopped obsessing. She focused on doing what felt aligned. She began to detach from the outcome, and within months, things started moving. Without her chasing, clients found her, projects flowed, opportunities showed up. But most importantly, she changed. She no longer felt ruled by fear. She felt rooted in trust. This is the truth we all have to face. You are not responsible for every result. You are responsible for the energy you bring. You are responsible for the intention behind your actions. And when you act from alignment, not desperation, you give life the space it needs to surprise you. So how do you take aligned action and let go? First, get crystal clear on your values. Ask yourself, does this action reflect who I want to become? If yes, do it fully and with heart. If not, pause, redirect. Your actions should feel connected to your inner truth, not your outer panic. Second, give your best without expecting instant proof. Not everything blooms the moment it's planted. Sometimes the roots are growing first. Sometimes the growth is happening inside you before it's visible outside. And third, build the muscle of trust. Trust that when you act from a place of alignment, life will meet you with the right result at the right time. Trust that detours have purpose. Trust that closed doors are just redirections. The moment you release your white-knuckled grip on how things must happen, you create space for things to happen better than you imagined. The irony? When you stop forcing outcomes, they begin to show up, naturally, effortlessly, and often in ways you never expected. So keep taking the steps that feel true. Keep listening to the voice that guides you from within. Then breathe, rest, let go of the outcome. You've done your part. And that's enough. Let life take it from here. And as you continue walking your path, aligned, grounded, and trusting, I want to thank you for being here, for showing up not just to this message, but to yourself. The journey inward is never easy, but it's always worth it. And if this message resonated with you today, I hope it stays with you tomorrow. Until next time, thank you for listening, and thank you for choosing your inner peace.